All right, you boy, man, NJ to the city reporting for the Jacks Breeze on YouTube. Yes, I'm in my bed laying down. Why? I don't care enough to get up. I don't care enough, but I still want to film a video. So that's what I'm creatively doing. Okay, God bless YouTubers like Adam Ivy. Love his content. He just punches you straight in the face with his advice and his wisdom on marketing and making it in the music industry and so on. Uh, and me being the musician, artist, and so on that I am, let alone marketer, promoter, developer, whatever word or words you want to use to describe me. I think I said this in the last video, and I'll say this again. I want all artists to understand, all young artists to understand, let alone all young artists that haven't made it yet to understand. When I say made it, it all depends on your definition of that, because your definition of made it could be like you just haven't, similar to mine, you just haven't made it to where you're, I'm gonna say somewhere close to 10 million, if not over 10 million, or whatever you want to call it when it comes to monthly listeners on Spotify, something like that. Because there's many different definitions of making it in music, honestly, many different definitions. Now I'm obviously nowhere close to those numbers that I just spat, but you understand the point that I'm making. And with that being said, God bless who wants his unashamed. To all young artists, I mean it when I said it in the last video. The best advice I can give all young artists when it comes to making it in music is sign a marketing deal. Sign one, literally. Find somebody that is honestly, genuinely willing to support, willing to promote your content. Whether that is visually through YouTube, or that is again you're playing music within itself. That's what you need to do. Because I'm telling you, if you're relying off of the straight just music alone to get you mainstream overnight, yeah, you're living a bigger pipe dream than I am. Because it's never going to happen. And or if it did, it's like lightning in a bottle. If you think that you're going to get mainstream off of music overnight just by your sound alone, that's literally, I would say, you're living a bigger pipe dream than me, I would say so. Again, it can happen. It's just more of a lightning in a bottle if it ever does. Because I mean it when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's watching this video, I have literally, and I mean literally, some of the most underrated artists you probably could think of on planet Earth. I listen to some of the most underrated artists on planet Earth, and I'm almost amazed every time I listen to them how, in God's name, when I check their Spotify numbers, they don't have that core audience there that says, you know, they're known by anybody. And specifically in the context of, like, as I like to phrase it like this all the time, to where it's like outside of their media base, no one's listening to them. Nobody. No one's listening. No one knows who the frick they are from a can of paint, and so on. I listen to some of the most underrated artists ever. And it kind of bugs me how underrated they are. But they are very, very, very much underrated, and so on. I mean it when I say to all young artists, and quite a few young artists look up to me and so on, and just trying to give you this advice. Because I'm telling you, like, I love what I do and I believe in the music that I make, but I mean it when I say the best advice I can give any young artist who cares enough to listen to it, God willing, take it. You're going to have to do one of two things, if not one of three. One, sign a marketing deal. Or two, build your own music machine, your own marketing machine, where you can push your own content out there to the masses in whatever ways it is that you are doing so. But you need a machine to do it. That means a machine that even without being on the world stage, you're still promoting yourself like you are on the world stage every single day, and so on. Like, that doesn't mean, like, in the context of, it means like even though you might not be on all the talk shows, or you might not be, at the Grammys or wherever else you can, call it, you're still taking over the internet. You're still taking over certain airways. You're still taking over certain platforms, and so on. That's pretty much what I'm talking about when I say kind of like putting yourself on the world stage without actually being on the world stage. That's what you have to do if you really want to make your career pop in the way that you always envision it to be. You're going to have to build yourself your own machine to get you up there, or you're going to have to sign a marketing deal. One of those two, if not both. Because I'm telling you, you can be as big as you want to be, specifically in music wise. You can, but you have to put in the time, work, energy, effort to do it. If you're not going to do it, you're not going to go anywhere. Take it from me. I know. And so on. I love the music that I make. And I will never, ever stop making it. But the more that I look at my own numbers and I study everyone else's numbers, I'm like, what separates us? Where can we, pretty much comparing and contrasting. I do it all the time because I want to know vice versa. How can I get better at promoting my own content, let alone promoting someone else's content? Because people have to understand, vice versa, the platform that I'm trying to ascend to with my own content, you got to understand, this is not solely for me. I'm not solely trying to ascend so I can, solely make myself bigger. No, I'm trying to ascend so I can help make everybody else bigger. So nobody who knows they have talent ever has to struggle to make it in the music biz ever again. Because I know how hard it is to get play. How hard it is to feel like you're passing out all these pamphlets, all these cards, and still you see no results in your music plays. And even if you do see, results, it's more like small results. Small, like, as in they only listen to the song once or twice. You only got, like, for example, I'll never forget. It's almost like where you only got like one surge, pretty much. Like, you've done enough to get multiple surges, but you only got one surge in your plays, pretty much. I don't know how to fully describe it right now, but I'll probably do it in future videos. Where I'll never forget, a couple years back, if I'm not mistaken, if not just last year, I did whatever I did, and I got a overnight surge in some of my plays and followers on SoundCloud. And it kind of helped a little bit, but then I was waiting for the next surge to happen after I did what I did the second time, and it didn't come to fruition, and so on, which makes me kind of question why it never did. But at the same time, it's still a formula that I'm willing to repeat more and more times and see where we go with it. But that's a part of the point that I'm making there, is that you got to be willing to, put some of this work, effort, and energy in, because if you don't, you're never going to go anywhere, and you only have yourself to blame, and so on. And I'm just being real. I've been there 100,000 times. I've been doing music for a long time. And I'm just being honest with you when I say this, that I love doing music, but I also know what it means to struggle to get play, let alone get consistent play. I know what that means, especially when you know that you're making good enough music, let alone you're making good enough music and then posting it in almost every social media account that you have. I know what that feels like to know I'm putting myself out there and people are looking at the images, but they're not listening to any of the music. You know what I mean? Like, literally, they're looking at my images so they know who I am, but they're not pressing play. It's not that hard to press play. We do it every day on countless other artists. Quote me on that last part. We do it every day on countless other artists. So it's not that hard to get play. It really isn't, and or it should never be. But really, it isn't, because we give other artists that play all day long. So why can't we start giving more of the smaller artists their bigger play so they get up to those levels that they all know that, and we all know they're capable of doing? But again, it's also a matter of building a fan base that's actually consistent. Because that's also part of the problem that I think not just me, but a lot of other artists are definitely trying to figure out at times, is how do we build consistent fan bases? Again, consistent fan base, where that means that pretty much you don't have to be a consistent listener of me in order to know I'm dropping. Dare I say, if I'm phrasing that right. And that's just a huge part of the play part, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, is just understanding how those mathematical formulas work, honestly. I mean, it all can happen and it all can work out for our best benefit, but the point is, again, you got to put in time, work, effort, energy, and strategies behind it all. I know I'm continuously willing to do so. I hope everyone else who's watching this video, who's an artist, vice versa, is willing to do the same thing. These are the ways. These are the ways we got to do things, and the things that can get us where we want to be. Because I'm just being real. Since I know what it's like to struggle to get play, I'm building the platform that I'm building because I don't ever want anyone else to struggle like I know I've struggled. Specifically in that context of artists who know they got the talent. Quote me in the last part. No, they have the talent. I'm sick of listening to artists that they bleed talent pretty much. I'm tired of listening to artists that I can taste and smell. They got the talent, but they're supremely underrated. So pretty much I'm tired of listening to artists that are underrated. Like, literally. But at the same time, if you're thinking that the music itself is going to ascend you overnight, it's literally, like lightning in a bottle. It's rare, super, super rare. Because if the music itself was gonna get you where you wanted it to get you, then you would have already blown up by now. But the music itself alone is not going to get you anywhere. You're gonna have to have a machine to push the music, let alone push your name, image, and likeness out there to the world, so people can not only know your name, but possibly give a bleep about your music once they start hearing it a little bit more. It's not that hard, but at the same time, it definitely takes work in progress. It's all a process and so on. But like I said, I just hope every young artist out there understands a big part of what you got to do is you got to do one of those two things. Build your own machine that pushes you to the forefront of the community, and so on. So people know your name, they know your name, image, likeness, and they also they also know what you sound like, and sound like consistently enough where hopefully they are a part of your base. Or B, where again you just sign a marketing deal with somebody. But it also depends on who that marketing deal is with, because some people don't really have any more of those connections than you do to get you where you want to be. But either way it goes, those are the top two options I would tell every young artist, because I'm telling you, I don't want anyone else to ever really struggle to get play ever again. But because I'm in a similar boat to you, I study everything, and if not everything, I study a lot. I study the numbers, I study the platforms, I study the artists, I study as much information and content as I can on how to vice versa build my platform, so vice versa can help others build theirs, and we can stop struggling together. Because it should not be, and it never should ever be that hard to make it in music, let alone make it mainstream music. It never should be that dang hard. Never. I understand somewhat why it is, but then I also don't understand why it is. But in the same sense, making the music should not be a rat race or be something where you have to sell out your content, or your fan base, or whatever, just to make it up to where you want to be. Oh, by the way, three. The third thing I want to say, in order to get your platform where it needs to be, I want people to understand you might need another career path that gets you up there to those levels of mainstream prominence. You might need another career path that will help you shine a light on your music. That's also something you should be very, very aware of. Because the point there is it just ties into the first two. You need something that's going to push you to the mainstream audience and so on. Something that's going to push you to more and more people in general. And I'm just trying to give you all the information and anecdotes that I know that could work and definitely do work. Just depends on how you want to, push and portray them. The reason why they haven't fully worked for me at the moment is because I haven't tried them all, let alone I haven't tried even half of them. But I am working on the processes of doing so I can live up more to what I'm telling you in videos like this and so on. But that's the third option, is that you're gonna have another career gonna have to have another career that puts you in a spotlight, so thus forth you can more easily push your music to the spotlight with you, and people actually care because they already know you from something else and so on. So I got 1,000 more different ways I can probably phrase it. So in essence, for now, your boy the man, NJ to the City, reporting for the Jax Breeze on YouTube. God bless. Everybody's having a great blessing of the week thus far. Peace. God bless.